This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 587 for January 21st, 2019. The Walking Dead, Gaiden.
It's the same game, just not as you know it.
Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your under the weather and completely tired host, Boston. And joining me is also completely tired co-host, Moonpear.
Hello.
I don't think we have any news stories here at the beginning, so let's get started with what you've been playing.
Okay, so first thing I've been playing is Iconoclasts. Did a full stream of that. Go check out the archives, listen to the Game Club episode coming up soon, / already out. I don't even know anymore.
I forgot to mention the thing we literally recorded yesterday.
Yep, that's why I'm pitching the ball back to you, so we can get that out the way.
Yeah, there's a brand new episode of TVGP's Game Club for Iconoclasts out. This is probably one of our longest ones. It clocked in at over an hour.
Mm-hmm.
We
had some thoughts.
We disagreed on this game a lot in really different ways, and I think that turned out really, really well.
Yes, definitely. Also, good evening, Coach Jamal. So there's that. ODNF is coming out soon as well, just as a general reminder.
Hitting the end of the month here.
My pen stopped working, which is great.
Oh, man.
I think that's all on that front. Yes, so what have I been playing? Let's start with game number 1 of 2. Mm-hmm. The Walking Dead, The New Frontier.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's not the best Walking Dead.
Okay.
It's not the worst Walking Dead.
Yeah, I think we did the rankings last week.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting so far. The fact that Clementine is a side character is a really good touch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel as connected to my main character at all because I get the feeling that they're just...
They're zombie food?
Yeah, there's zombie food, stuffing to get through to the final episodes kind of thing.
And like in the last episode, you'll suddenly... That person will die and then... Clementine will take over.
Yeah, and like they've done a whole bunch of flashbacks of like Clementine's story since 2 to this point. Mm-hmm. It's the gut punches in this come from Clementine's story. Like they very rarely come from your main character's story, which is really an interesting way because you don't control Clementine, but you have this connection because of the previous games. Mm-hmm. So when she's talking about this backstory of like, here is the person you chose to end the second game with, who is now hanging from a rope in the way you'd expect them to in a zombie survival situation when they've given up all hope.
Right.
But then there is Clementine, who is still... People are like, there's a character who's just referred to Clementine as this light, this hope for a better tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And the person who says that to her is part of a group which technically is responsible for destroying Clementine's morale.
Great.
It's like, how do you have the gall to say that to the person
Those
who
are opposites.
you pretty much destroyed? Like,
so do you? It almost sounds like this isn't inherently a bad thing, although it sounds like it might be in this instance. It almost sounds like you're sort of treading water in this season until like the overarching storyline picks back up.
A little bit, because this feels like a stories in the universe of, which is why I think they didn't give it a season 2. They called it The New Frontier.
Okay.
Because it's more like alternative stories in the same universe, so
more side story stuff.
Yeah, and
The Walking Dead Gaiden.
Yes, exactly. But it's got the really great like thing where it does loop back around and has all of these like references to the old games. I mean, Lee gets brought up a lot by Clementine.
Okay.
Because he's kind of a defining thing for Clem.
Yeah.
Like, she was a very young child when these games all started. And a really, really good touch that happened in the episode I've just finished. So I think I just finished chapter 5, so I've got one episode left. Clementine is a young teenage lady. As such, she is going through certain changes, which has just happened.
Okay.
So I'm trying to avoid being specific for any children listening, so the parents don't have to have an awkward conversation with their younglings.
Right.
Let's say Clementine is a woman now, and phrase it that way, which is a really good touch. Like, it's a really great, like, intimate conversation between this guy and this very young girl, who's like, she's like, I started bleeding. I know it's supposed to happen.
Right.
I don't know what it means. I don't know what's going on. And it's the stereotypical awkward man having a conversation with a young girl about this whole process. And it's like,
right.
Well,
This is awkward.
I'll take you to Kate. She can help you with all of this stuff.
Right. Help! Please help.
Yes, essentially.
Right.
But it's a really good thing to throw in because it's an actual real life thing that would happen in this situation. And it's handled about as well as it would be handled in this kind of situation. It's a good thing to drop in there because it makes you realize this isn't the Clem who, the tiny
we
Clem.
started with.
Yeah, this is a different Clementine, an older Clementine, one who's been through some stuff.
Yeah.
And the stuff that these people have put her through make me want to burn them to the ground. I was going to make a Seth Rollins entrance music joke then, but I just realized you probably wouldn't get that. So
no, I would not. Sorry.
I'll skip
Let you down
that.
yet again.
Oh. It's a good story so far. The engine seems to have improved a lot since previous games kind of thing. Like, but having said that, I've played one of the most recent ones recently, which is the Batman Season 2 stuff.
Yeah.
And that was incredible. Like, engine, production, everything about that was great. But I've got one chapter left, and I can't help but think all the people who I've built this relationship with, they're all going to be, as you phrase it, they're all going to be zombie food.
Yeah.
To further Clementine's story going into the final game, which I have heard things about that game that make me very interested in it. And obviously there is the whole situation around that game, which makes me very annoyed with it.
Yeah.
But it's a good game. It's not a bad game. It's not a great game. It's a good continuation and, like, as you said, Walking Dead Gaiden kind of story in this universe. And as always, there is a whole bunch of D-bags and a-holes that you just want to see get chowed on.
Yeah, it's like, boy, if I can push that guy into a pile of zombies, that's going to happen.
Is there a latch where I can unlatch the door and let this herd of zombies come in? Because I hope there is at some point.
Right.
Because sometimes they kind of need it.
Yeah.
It's weird. But yeah, Walking Dead. Very, very... I love the series. I genuinely do.
Yeah.
Coach Jamal in chat wondered why he's never played Season 2, because it didn't have a Platinum trophy. Speaking to my own heart.
Right. I was like... Yeah. That's one of those things where it's like, I get it. Like, it shouldn't stop you from doing it, but I get it. I feel
yeah. Season 2 is a rough one. Season 2 is very much a, let's try and make this better. Oh no, things have gone really, really bad.
Oh no, Gary Whitt is not writing for it anymore. Whoops.
It's interesting. It's not.
Yeah.
I would actually probably put that below the New Frontier so far, because at least in New Frontier, it's new faces, new relationships, new hurdles to overcome.
Right.
Whereas Season 2 in a good way and a bad way, it feels like a very much a, this is what happened in Season 1, let's kind of see how people are coping after that fact. And it goes both good and bad, depending on how you want to see it. And Season 2 kind of ends in an interesting way, depending on what happens. Oh, But yeah, Walking Dead. I like these series. I genuinely do. And my second and final game this week, spoiled by said Koshimal last week in chat. Thank you. Yakuza 0.
I'm so excited to talk about Yakuza 0 with you.
Okay, so here are a couple of random notes I have for this game.
Okay.
I have an inventory full of tissues.
That sounds right.
I have done the most random stuff so far.
Yes.
Including but not limited to the stop and go policeman, which is a heartwarming story.
Yeah, the guy who's like, "Do you have any, you got any weapons on you? Why don't you show me something?"
Got any contraband there, mister?
Yeah.
You know? I don't know what to do. I have sung way too much karaoke.
Yes. It's real good.
I did the stupid dancing minigame, which is both great and terrible at the same time.
Little weird, yeah.
I won a God tier Mark II engine from the million yen slot machines.
Yep.
I successfully defeated Mr. Shakedown.
Oh, nice.
I walked away with 12 million yen from that one, which was a...
There we go.
I found him sleeping in the park, right next to a save point. So I went in and I spent all of my money on upgrades, saved it, and then started a fight with him.
Smart.
I'm a thinker. That's what I am.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Oh boy. I met up with a fake rock band who didn't actually know how to be a rock band.
The 1950s greaser rock band. They are really good. That's a really good side quest.
And before you know it, I was grossing the erasables and genning the props, which...
Yep. That was the very first side quest I did, and the very first, I had no idea. It was my first Yakuza game, so I had no idea that there were choices in the side quests. And they're like, "All right, what's the term for when we set up these props?" And it shows 3 words, and I'm like, "Oh no,
yep,
I don't know any of this."
I didn't either, and this is my first Yakuza game as well. So, oh boy.
A good thing is, if you answer wrong in side quests, you just get a little bit worse tier of the item at the end.
Oh, okay.
But if you answer them all perfectly, the item you get isn't overpowered. It's not like, oh, make sure you get everyone right, because then you'll have the strongest, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
which is great.
It's not a game changer one way or the other.
Yeah.
I did unlock the slot cars recently, and I was like, this was yesterday, I was like, I think I'm going to do some laundry in real life.
Right.
4 hours later, I'm still racing slot cars.
I knew it would get you. I knew it. It just... The races are so fast, and it's like, okay, I screwed up on that third turn. I was going a little too fast. If I change out this part to the other one, I think I can get it. No,
it's a puzzle game. It's not even a racing game. It's a puzzle game. Is what build can you build to get through this course and still win? So,
God, it's so good.
It's ridiculous is what it is. I have messed around with claw machines and got a red squirrel for the little girl.
That's a cool side quest.
That's the only one I've done for that one so far. So I'm sure there'll be more toys grabbing for her.
Yeah.
I did get 2 separate 2-for-1 specials on the claw machine. So
wow.
Twice now I have grabbed 2 prizes at once. I have clipped the both of them because I am a claw machine god.
Clearly.
Yes. Technically I had a perfect run because the claw machines I think have 9 prizes in. And in 3 insertions of money, I got that entire claw machine empty. So,
jeez,
claw machines are my jam.
Clearly, I can tell. I mean, jeez.
Jeez, what else? I bumped into the kid who wanted the game, who spent all of his money to get the game, who was stolen by the thug,
the Dragon Quest storyline.
Yes, who was beat down by a grown-up guy who was beat down by a Yakuza, which turns out is the kid's dad.
And who was just trying to get the game for him anyway.
Yep.
These side quests are all really good.
They're all insane.
The best part, too, is you can't miss any of them. When you beat the game, it dumps you back in the open world, and they're just all available.
Yes, this is something which I'm very grateful. Friend of the show, Tooth, sent me a message on Twitter. It was like, just so you know, because people know how I play, at the end of the game, you can go back and get 100%. You don't have to worry about any of that goodness.
Yeah, they give you, like, when you finish the game, they give you, like, a clear save, and you can basically start back from that point, and it just dumps you back in the open world. And then you can switch between the two open worlds at will.
Yes. Oh, boy. I'll say I'm up to Chapter 5.
Okay.
Which is, I've literally just got the residential property management business.
Oh no, my weakness.
So yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention I've also done batting cages, bowling, darts, pool. Batting
cages and bowling, I thought both were pretty fun.
They are. The batting cages feels a little bit difficult for me right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you're trying to aim for that home run square, and it's just like, now the camera is skewed like this, and it's just like,
right.
I'm looking out the corner of my eye looking for a ball coming and trying to time it right. It's a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
I did okay the first time I went bowling, starting to develop friendships with shopkeepers and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's a cool system.
It's the first time I bumped into it was with Stop and Go guy, and it's like, oh, yeah, all these people now want to come and work for me. Totally forgot. Yeah. I did do the storyline with the young ladies selling underwear.
Yes. Yep.
Totally accused the wrong girl about 5 times before I got the right girl.
Okay.
So,
Yakuza.
Yes. This is going to sound negative.
Okay.
I don't mean it to be. This game is Japanese as hell.
Very much so.
It's very steeped in Japanese culture, traditions, that kind of stuff as well. But also just as a game, it's so Japanese.
It's just weird.
It's Space Channel 5 kind of weird.
Yeah, like it's just... And part of why I love these games is that the main storyline is so serious. It's this very serious Yakuza drama with families and patriarchs and the Tojo clan and like all this stuff. And then you're trying to win a UFO catcher squirrel for a little girl, and then you're like secretly... Well, you probably haven't gotten to that quest, so I won't spoil it. But like, you're setting up for a commercial for this guy because he's like, "Hey, do you want to help me be a producer for the day?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Yep. And then you run into the pervert who's running around town in just of his boxes.
Oh God, yeah, he shows up a lot in that game.
And then there's the other guy who is similarly inclined, who wears like a biker's outfit and just does the gyration like John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever kind of,
yeah, he's wiggling.
Yes. Talking about how real men do it 5 times before they even break a sweat.
It's so weird.
Oh, then there's the not unfortunate, there is the more adult side of Japan here as well.
Yeah.
We already discussed the young lady selling underwear.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason I'm not going deeper into that, because that just makes me feel awkward. There is the... I had to do it because of exactly what it says on the actual thing itself. I did it for the trophy.
Yep. And also, like, it's one of those things where you see, and it's, like, very clearly, like, an adult video store, and it's like, I can't go in there. Oh, I can go in there? Okay, well, I'll probably just talk to someone. What does he want me to do? Oh, I can watch stuff? They're not going to show me anything. Oh, God. Okay, they're showing me something. And, like, it's obviously not explicit, but it's sort of like, I can go really far into this, in, like, a lot of these shops, and a lot of them are like, I'm going to get fried chicken. I'm going to go watch an adult video. And it's like, duh, what?
Yep. Or the one I recently unlocked is I'm going to be on the telephone.
Yeah, oh god. The intro to that telephone thing when he rips there's the very opening, it's not as explicit as you think, but like there's an animation when you start the thing where he like picks up the receiver. It's one of my favorite animations in that whole game.
Is it? I'm assuming because right now I am Kazuya.
Kiryu.
Okay, right now I'm Kiryu, so this is the first time I've bumped into it. So,
okay,
I've unlocked that particular aspect. I haven't done any of that side of things yet. So, is it a similar seriousness to the same way he does everything else in the stupid hyper serious way? It's like, I will win with this car.
It very much is, but you're trying to be super serious and flirt with a woman on the phone while you're picking.
I saw the mini game description where it's like spin your stick around and hold it and then let go. And
like pick these words that are floating in this word bubble, but his voice actor is so good and so serious that like him trying to flirt is just, it's over the top.
Is it similar to him trying to sing?
Yes, very much so. God, that karaoke stuff is so good.
Let's just talk about how Judgment is probably one of the best songs ever released and one of the best videos ever made.
Yep. Although that transition between him like stone-faced singing and then suddenly he's on a stage and there's pyrotechnics, it's just like, God, I love Yakuza.
I also kind of like the second song, which is the sad song, and it's just him bemoaning over a photo of the orphanage where he grew up.
Yes.
It's like, okay.
Oh my God.
Sure.
I love Yakuza.
And then you got the part where it's a female lead singer, so you're just clapping along and doing weird shouts and stuff.
Yep.
And when you do that with your boy, like I've just had the scene where he meets back up with Hizikayama?
His friend.
Yeah, his Yakuza brother.
Yeah.
And they do karaoke together, and then while you're chanting along to Egg Han, you actually start chanting his name while you're doing it, which is dumb and terrible and amazing all at the same time.
Oh, Nishikiyama.
There you go.
Yeah, that guy. I had to pull up a character list because I'm like, I know what he looks like. He has the long hair and he has a purple coat, but
he looks
Yakuza a very long
through
and through. Yeah.
What's this? This game is insane.
So how did you like, since you're on Chapter 5, how did you like the intro to Majima?
Yeah, this is something I tweeted. Kiryu's introduction is pretty good. Like, it's a pretty good introduction for him as kind of a badass. I especially like the fact that, like, after he's done the pre-game beatdown on that guy, like, and he's walking away, he does the little shoe flip to, like, flip the guy's leg out of his way or something as he's walking away.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm done with you.
Perfect little touch.
Yep.
What is it, Majima?
Goro Majima.
Yeah, he probably has, and I think I tweeted this, it might be one of my favorite character introductions of all time.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because all of a sudden, I had a feeling there was a character switch at some point, because you pick up things in social media. And
yeah, you hear this, like, switch between characters. And
yeah. And then when it switched to that, I was like, I'm pretty sure one of these guys is the bad guy from Yakuza 1. But I'm not sure if it's Kiryu or Majima. So I was like, okay, odds are it's Majima based on his introduction. But yeah, he's the manager for a hostess club, and he's turned it into a really positive hostess club. And I think the way I described it on Twitter was it's the most impressive caged animal introduction I've ever seen. Where you do, like, Mass Effect is a good example. You meet up with Grunt in Mass Effect 2, and you know he's just seconds away from punching you in the face at all times.
And, like, tossing you into the dark void of space.
When Majima shows up, and when he has that whole interaction with the D-bag at the club, you know he just wants to rip his throat out. You can
just see it.
Like, it's not even like his voice acting is fine, so you can't tell from his voice that he's doing it. It's the animations on the actual facial features.
It's like his voice acting, he's being very pleasant, where it's like, I'm running a business and I can't just kill these guys. I gotta be cool.
Like, and it's just little things, like little twitches of the eyes, like when he's getting champagne poured over his face.
Yeah.
And he's just got this tiny little twitch, and you're just like, he's going to snap.
He's going to kill this dude.
At some point, he is going to snap. Yeah. And then this guy is going to be dead. And then the whole combat sequence where you just spend your time dodging the guy, because it's like the heat attacks when you're dodging him. And he's just like, here, would you like a hot towel?
Right. That's one of my favorite things. He just like keeps handing him nice stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's such a good intro sequence. Like, yeah. I mean, it looks great. It's animated fantastically. The graphics in the game look incredible. They're really good. The cutscenes specifically are above and beyond like a lot of stuff.
Runs super smooth, 60 frames too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Majima's kind of scary.
Yeah. Have you gotten? So you have the real estate stuff for Kiryu. Have you gotten the corresponding stuff for Majima?
I don't think so yet.
Okay. It's a very big. Like how the real estate stuff is big in Kiryu's world, like it's a big storyline focus. Majima has one as well.
I'm guessing it's something to do with stealing hostesses from other clubs and bringing them back to yours.
That's part of it, yeah.
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 But, dude, I mean, the story is good. It's a little bit cliche in places, but the story is relatively good.
It's really well told.
I'm very interested in the fact that there's I love the fact that there's two different stories. There is, this guy wants to be a Yakuza and he's being kicked out of the Yakuza, but he wants to get back in. And this other story is this guy who's trying to do right by his father figure, who gets kicked out by his own choice, and now introduces a second and third party into the whole schemings of the real estate company trying to buy up this empty lot and so on and so forth.
Right. God, the empty lot scheming is so good.
Yes, and it's just constant backwards and forwards. And I love the fact that they got actual real life actors.
Yes.
To be like most of the main characters, like the 3 head Yakuza guys, like the 3 lieutenants.
Yeah, I was just looking at Kuze, the guy with the gravelly voice. He's my favorite one.
I have seen him in so many movies. It's like, I know your face. Wait, I know your face too. Wait, I know your face too.
That also happened in Yakuza 6 with, I don't remember. Oh, Beat Takeshi, where it's like, that's Beat Takeshi. He's just in this game.
For what I understand, there's a whole bunch of all New Japan Pro wrestlers in 6 as well.
Yes, I didn't realize until someone had brought it up. There's the I don't remember what they call themselves, but there's like a gang of tough guys that's taken over all the non-Yakuza gangs in that area, and they sort of all lined up, and I was like, these all look really specific. Like I feel like they didn't make them up. And I go look and I was like, oh, those are all wrestlers. Okay. Like all of them. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know where it's hard to put into words how great, and I don't know why Yakuza 0 is. Because I was talking to my wife about it. I was like, it feels like Grand Theft Auto 3. Like the first time you play Grand Theft Auto 3 and you're like, okay, so it's basically a 3D Grand Theft Auto, so you get the story.
It's like GTA 2, but now it's 3D.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh wait, no, I can be a taxi driver, and I can do fireman missions and police missions and all this other kind of stuff, like just randomly scattered throughout the game. And it's like, times the amount of stuff you can do in those games by about 3, and you've hit where Yakuza 0 sits.
And like squish the map down by like 5 times.
So it's all manageable as well. Like it's all within the same area. It's like 2 small districts rather than like, a huge city sprawling environment. And the fact that every single one of the minigames is good.
Yes.
Like, let's not overstate that fact. It's like, I can go play darts in a whole bunch of games and it can feel okay. It feels pretty good in Yakuza. I can go play pool and it feels really good in Yakuza.
Yep.
Go bowling and the mini game is good.
Bowling is really fun.
To the baseball bat, that feels really good. Like the karaoke button input stuff feels good to do. Like it's all done really well. It's like they don't have any any lacking on these mini games. They haven't just thought, well, let's throw something in there and, who cares? It's only a mini game. It's like, no, they've put thought into actually making the mini games feel good.
Yeah.
Because so much stuff revolves around it. It's like I know, I'm pretty sure it's this game, but I'm pretty sure if I get to the end of the bowling storyline, I get a chicken to be a manager for something. So
you do. You get a turkey and you win a chicken.
So see what I mean? It's
yep.
I don't know. These games are weird, and I love it. And it's been so long since I've played one of these games. I don't think I've ever been more grateful for my adapter than I am right now.
Yeah.
Because I've probably put about 30 hours into Yakuza 0 this week alone.
Yeah, I'm glad you're having... Number one, I'm really glad you're enjoying it. And Yakuza 6, imagine if it was this game, but without loading times when you go in and out of buildings and stuff. That's Yakuza 6. I also had the same hard time trying to explain why I love Yakuza, because I really love the Yakuza soap opera storyline of the main story. I think that's really well done. People ripping off their shirts all the time and
and showing
cutting off their pinkies.
Showing those sweet tats.
Right, I want to talk about the empty lot, and it's just this is all so good.
You think I'm just a regular business boy? Well, let me take off my shirt.
Right, tattoo. All of that stuff is so good, and when it switched from Kiryu to Majima, I was a little bit worried, and I love Majima in Yakuza 0 a whole lot. Yakuza 1 feels... He wasn't in the original first Yakuza game, and them putting him in Kiwami, the first Kiwami feels a little bit shoehorned in there, but it's not. It's certainly not bad. He's a much different character in Kiwami. He's not really your antagonist, but he's sort of always behind you, poking you, where it's hey, that sort of thing. But at the same time, as much as I love that soap opera stuff, I love the dumb side quests and all the stupid stuff you can do in town. And I think part of what makes Yakuza so successful is because the non-soap opera stuff is so lighthearted, you get such a good balance between the two of them. It isn't super serious 100% of the time, but it isn't silly 100% of the time. It's not, GTA 5 telling a serious story, or, Saints Row the Third. This game's real dumb. It manages to balance both of those desires at the same time, and it looks good, and the sound acting is great, and the music and all the skills you're getting is great, and the multiple fighting styles are great.
The fact that this is a brawler, and I've been wanting a brawler for so long,
it's a beat 'em up RPG. It's great.
I don't want to load up the bouncer. I don't want to play Streets of Rage for the 1,000th time.
Right.
Oh wait, I've got this nice perfect package right here that kind of does the best of it all. It's great.
I want to beat up dudes on the Kamurocho streets, and every once in a while, one of them will be named Sega.
And then punch him in the face, punch him in the chest, and send him flying through the air and knock out two of his buddies. It's great.
It's so good. And next, I'm gonna pick up a motorcycle and throw it at him.
Yep. It's so dramatic, but then it feels like it parodies itself by being so over dramatic.
It knows when to have fun with itself. I we get that so rarely in games where it's sort of this is crazy, right? Wink. And it's okay. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's the Saints Row 4, I want to be, I need a hero music at the very last mission.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what, I'm still in the middle of playing it, obviously, but, this is a ridiculously good game.
Yeah.
I had slept on these, very much pretty much like everybody else, especially in the West.
Yeah.
We all kind of slept on these. And then, was it Kiwami that they released that kind of hit it, or was it 5 when people were wait, these may be good?
For America, it was 0. Like 5 came out and it was good, and like 4 came out and it was fine. But when 0 came out, it was like the the right place and the right time for that series. And I think, like you and I are running into, I think most people, Sega did something marketing that game, and it's like, this is the perfect place to start. And I was like, okay, let's dive in. It's like, oh no, these are all really good.
Yep, and I've only got another 8 more games to play now. So, Kiwami's 1, 2, and then I know they're doing 3, 4, and 5, I believe.
Yeah, they're not remaking those because those were PS3 games. They're just doing like putting it up to 1080p and calling it a day, which is good.
Yeah, then I've got 6, and I've got the Fist of the North Star version as well.
Yep, and don't forget Judgment, which is also from their company.
Is that multi-platform, or is that PS exclusive again?
I don't know. I don't know enough because it just got announced for the US. I know it's coming on PS4, and it'll probably come out on PC later because I think they have committed to putting out all the Yakuza stuff on PC, which is really great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it's coming out multi-platform or not. That's a good question.
It's okay.
Go play Yakuza 0.
Yes.
It's great.
It's a little bit ridiculous, and in the best of ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I've been playing.
I was pretty sick. Coach Jamal in chat also reminds us about Zombie Yakuza. I don't remember what that was. I have a copy of it. So I was able to scoop it up for like $10. It's out on PS3. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, there's a zombie third-person shootings Yakuza spin-off, which is, of course there is.
Yeah, why not? It's Sega.
I wasn't feeling well this whole past week. We don't talk too much about it. Wasn't really having a great mental health week this week either. So I do what I did what I do when I'm not feeling well.
Played Symphony of
Night. Roguelikes. Yeah. So I played a ton of Crypt of the NecroDancer. If you're not listening to We Roguelike It, we're playing Crypt of the NecroDancer right now. We're doing the show, Moon and I, so obviously we're partial. I really like the show. Not super long episodes, sort of bite-sized stuff. We're trying to play all of the roguelikes, and we're 3-4 games in. So, got only about 15 more years of roguelikes to play.
Well, the game list is what, like 99, 100 and something long?
We have finished a couple of games, and I added, I think, 2 or 3, so I think we're back up to like 95.
Yep.
Yeah, so get in now while it's starting. I did play a little bit of Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. The Forgotten update is out on PS4 now, and Switch. I have not been playing a lot of it because once it lands on Xbox, then Moon and I will have the conversation about how we bring back the Binding of Moonpier. Yep. So I'm trying not to all right, let's unlock the Forgotten and let's do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But I have been playing a little bit, just loading up my old save and hitting random and see what I get. 2 things that I thought were interesting. One is I picked up a key that had electrical sparks on it. And those are called charged keys. And when you pick one of those up, it fills up your spacebar item, your active item.
Interesting.
I was like, okay, that's cool. And I was looking through the trophies, and a lot of them are beat Hush. It's like, oh, okay. I already did that.
1,000 times.
Yeah, beat Delirium with Apollyon. It's like, I'll do that eventually. I'll just fill out everybody's Post-it notes again. One of them was do a run where you do 3 victory laps in one run. Yeah.
I saw you tweet the trophy for this, and I believe that it was Never Again.
Oh my God, Never Again. So for anyone that hasn't played Binding of Isaac, you get to a point, you beat a couple floors, you beat a couple bosses, you can pick one of two items, the Polaroid or the negative. Polaroid basically goes up, and negative goes down. You have to pick the negative, beat the lamb, and it'll say, do you want to do a victory lap? And if you pick yes, you start another run with most of your items. It'll remove a couple of them, and you start back at the first floor again. So you have to do that 3 times. I was doing really well until the very last run. For some reason, when I picked victory lap, it spawned me as the lost. And thankfully I had dead cats, so I had 9 lives, but like it took me 6 of those lives to get from the first floor all the way down to the lamb. So had it not done that, probably would have been a lot better, but
yeah,
never again until I have to do it on the other 2 save file, save slots on that save file. But,
yep.
And last but not least, I finished Marvel's Spider-Man, 2018's Marvel's Spider-Mans.
Okay, now that you've finished this game,
yes,
I'm assuming it would have cracked your top 10.
It would have been in my top 10, yes.
Higher or lower than Odyssey?
Lower.
Ooh, interesting.
So, I was really worried when... So we were talking last week about, like, boy, I bet I'm, like, right at the end of Act 2. I had, like, one short mission where it's like, whoops, everything went wrong. Act 2 is done.
Yep.
As we always do on this show. It's like, I bet I'm real close. 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
I initially wasn't a big... The way that they sell the storyline change from Act 2 to the beginning of Act 3, I was really worried that they had pulled something like Deus Ex Mankind Divided, the second one, where suddenly the open world changes in a very material way. That didn't really happen. There's a couple more snipers in the world now, but that's really about it.
Yeah.
I was initially really worried about
things look a bit worse as well.
Yeah, and I wasn't as crazy about the city looking worse, but when you finish the game, you go back to normal Manhattan, so that's fine. I just wrote flying enemies, seriously?
Yep. The Silver Sable, Jetpack Troopers, whatever they are.
Did not need that.
Worst enemies in the game.
Yeah, it's not a game where you're fighting enemies in the air. Those units really suck to fight against, and it made it a little bit easier when I got the skill upgrade to when you do a perfect dodge against handgun or rifle owners, you can just hit triangle, zip to them, and knock them out in one hit. That made that a lot easier, but yeah. I have a whole bunch of like stream of consciousness notes here, so I'm just going to go through them.
Oh, knock yourself out.
Spectrogram stuff. I really liked both the spectrogram, spectrometer stuff, and the build a tube. The other puzzle thing.
Mm-hmm.
I kept having the spectrograph stuff bug out, where I would screw up a puzzle because like you're putting all these pieces together, and at some point you're like, I just start back over. I have really made this so bad.
Yeah.
I would hit the button to start back over, like to clear the board, and it would say, "Oh, are you sure?" And I'd click yes, and then it would go, "Success completed." And I was like, sorry?" And that happened once I hit Act 3. That happened on every one of those puzzles.
See, I honestly think this is DLC related because, from what I understand, the main game itself polished to all kinds of shininess. Yeah. And basically, it seems like with each DLC that they've incorporated into the game, they have added more and more bugs and are struggling with getting them buttoned up and fixed. And
that's okay, because like this is really the only bug I've run into. I haven't really run into any other issues other than that. I haven't started the DLC yet. We'll talk about it here in a minute, but it definitely seems like it's one of those beneficial bugs where it's like, okay, like I would have liked to have figured that puzzle out, but that's fine. I'll take the two research tokens and I'll move on my way.
Yeah.
The facial animations, I feel like as the game continued, the facial animations got way better. Dr. Octavius, his stuff, especially in Act 3, was really great. Mm-hmm. The reason why I wrote this note down is Silver Sable at some point. Of course, like, every villain is going to work with Spider-Man at some point because we have a common enemy. I'm not spoiling anything here in Act 3, to be clear for anyone, because that would not be great. There's a really great part where she's sort of like fighting with herself, and she sort of purses her lips, and her lips flatten out into a line. It's like, man, we don't see facial animations like this in games very often, but when it happens and they do it right, like, man, it makes such a difference.
Yeah, not since Final Fantasy The Spirits Within have we seen such good facial animation.
I died. That's a spoiler. I really loved... It's just like something happened and I have like 3 of the gasping surprised emojis there. But
was that the hospital scene?
Yes. Some of that stuff that happens with a lot of the characters near the end. Really loved the credits sequence. I liked that. It's another thing we don't see in games where you get this super big, like, bombastic, stylish credit sequence where Spider-Man's silhouette and these big, bold colors and character silhouettes. The
movie-style credits.
Yeah, and I thought that was really cool. Like, the rest of the credits is obviously like 20 minutes of white text on a black screen, but I really liked that, and I wrote, in typical Marvel fashion, the game has 3 different endings, where it's sort of like, all right, here's our ending, and then credits, there's more, and then, credits, I bet that's the end. Oh no, there's more credits!
I'm trying
I liked that.
to remember the order of these ones. I'm pretty sure the last one was the Miles one.
That's the middle one.
Okay, what's the last one then?
The last one is... I don't think there's a way I could say that without... a character goes into the secret room.
Oh, yep, I know.
Yeah,
chamber.
That's the very last one.
The container chamber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one. I don't want to spoil any of the stuff beyond that, but that's...
hidden room at the penthouse chamber.
Yeah, I don't want to say more. But, yeah, like, that's one of those... Those scenes felt great in a very Marvel cinematic universe way, where it's sort of like, all right, yeah, we've got a quick thing where it's like, guess what happens in the next game? These 3 things, and here's a bunch of references comic book fans would like, probably, but I don't know what they are, so all right.
The Miles one is my favorite one. Like, out of the
that conversation is really great.
Yeah, I'm going through some changes. Well, I mean, it's the Clementine conversation we talked about earlier all over again.
Yep. So I have 2. Here are my 2 problems with the game.
Okay.
One is, I think boss fights by and large were good. There was one that I really hated, which was the Rhino.
Miles.
And he's Rhino, and who was he with?
I think it's Shocker with Rhino.
No, it's Scorpion. It was Scorpion. It's Shocker, Scorpion, and then Rhino, Scorpion. That fight was really frustrating, largely because one of my problems with this game, and there's probably no elegant way to get around it, is it's hard to tell how far along you are in boss battles, because you're going through the, he's going to attack and you're going to dodge for a while and you're going to interact with something, or you're going to web them to the ground, and that's when you can do your attack phase and you sort of rinse and repeat. But by the time you're on like the 5th or 6th time you're through that sequence, I always feel like, oh no, am I not doing damage? Like, have I run into a problem where I'm not actually doing the right thing, or am I bugged out or something? And you do like 1 or 2 more phases and you beat him, and it's like, okay,
that happened to me a lot in the first Shocker fight in the bank.
Yes.
Like, what am I doing wrong?
Am I doing the right thing? Oh, no, I am. Okay. I think the inelegant solution of that is putting a health bar on the screen, but that seems to go against the ethos of that game, that style of the game, where it's like you don't really want that. That was really evident in the final boss battle, because they're trying to stretch it out because they're telling story alongside the final boss battle, and they're doing a lot of stuff, and it's a really cool fight where you're taking advantage of a lot of stuff you've learned, but at the same time it's sort of like, okay, cool, like I'm ready for this to be over. Like, I know there's going to be a second phase to this fight where we do something different, and I had that problem in that phase too. And I think I wish there was a different way they were doing that, or at least sticking to the rule of threes, because that's when that feels really great. But that was frustrating, boss fight after boss fight, where it's like, okay, cool, like I'm really kicking the crap out of this dude, and he just keeps coming back, and I hope I'm doing the right thing, because it does not feel like it. My other thing is, I really don't think I'm going to go for the platinum. I'm really sick of fighting in this game, and a large part of it is like the prisoner camps and the sable things and the demon things. I like fighting the majority of the enemies. The flying enemies, I don't think should be in the game. The rocket launcher enemies, I don't think you should put 3 or 4 of them right next to each other, because when they're juggling me with rockets, that's not fun.
Especially when you consider how much damage those rockets do. Like, it's a little
like
bit
more
ridiculous.
Than half of my health bar. Like, I would be really excited to do all that stuff and to do all of Taskmaster's challenges, and except the drone ones really suck. Like, I'd be excited to do a lot of that stuff, because I really like the stealth ones, because you get to play in a different way than you normally do, and fighting wave after wave of enemies is really fun. Like, trying to balance, I'm going to electrify a bunch of these guys, and I'm going to tripwire 2 of these enemies together, and like trying to do a little bit of like a mob management. But combining the rocket launcher guys and the flying guys just kind of sucked the wind out of my sails for finishing a lot of that stuff.
I'll be honest, like, I did a lot of that stuff as I was going through. And then I ended up, like, at the very end of the game, I ended up getting a little bit frustrated with the fighting too. But I was so close to the platinum anyway, like, I needed 2 or 3 more things to get the last 2 costumes I needed unlocked. So literally, I went in, I switched my special to Web Blossom, and I was just like, guess what? Everybody's done. I'm just going to go in, I'm going to Web Blossom. You're all sticking to walls and floors and ceilings now.
Yeah, I cleared out 30 of you. Joe J says, this was my 100th and last platinum for a while. Congratulations on 100 platinums. For all the reasons you're talking about, endless fighting. Like, and it's such a bummer, because I really do like the fighting, and I really do like not having a counter and not having a block. Like, I love just continually moving and dodging stuff, and like dodging 3 or 4 perfect dodges at a time. It just, I feel like when you get punished with the fighting in that game, it feels like you're getting, and I'm just playing on normal, I'm not even playing on like the new ultimate difficulty or whatever. It feels like when you get punished in that, like by one of those whip guys or a rocket launcher or something, or you get like hit 3 or 4 times by one of those really big bulky dudes, it just feels like it's a little too punishing. And that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I think the thing with stuff like the whip guys and the rocket launch guys and stuff like that, the thing that bothered me about it was their range. Because, like, the whip guys, for example, you're not supposed to go in the air to fight, because
they'll just pull you right down.
But then you end up with 3 guys around you who have shields, who you have to go over them in the air to do the dodge thing, or slide under them to get the whatchamacallit, to get the shield weakened, or the big guys who you can only do web and stuff with. And the whip guys will just stand in the middle of this crowd of people who you have to go in the air to get past.
Yes.
And then the second you try and go in the air to deal with them, the whip guy's just like, oh no, you don't. Straight to the floor.
Yep.
And it's like,
yeah.
I get it. I need to move and crowd control them, but when I move, all of them come towards me at the same time.
Yeah.
So then it just becomes a case of, wait there's Web Blossom. See ya.
Yeah, and I use Web Blossom a lot because there's all the other ones were fine, but Web Blossom is just so strong when you can just hit L3 and R3 in the middle of a pack and be like, all right, that whole wave is done. We're moving on.
Yep.
And that's kind of a bummer because a lot of the stuff in the game is fun to do, and thankfully the Platinum doesn't have you like get a perfect score in every Taskmaster challenge. It's like, no, just do one of all of them. Like,
yeah.
And get a good score in like one of each category. It's like, okay, that's fine. And part of it is I do want to go do all the DLC because all 3 DLC packs are out now. So I really don't want to burn myself out on stuff that isn't really fun as opposed to sort of cooking through the rest of that stuff.
Yeah.
And the only other 2 trophies I won't be getting are the ones for like the ultimate difficulty or whatever they call it in New Game Plus because I don't feel like I'm being pulled into like New Game Plus. Let's just start right back over. Like I'm ready to go.
New Game Plus and Ultimate is not necessary for the Platinum because they're additional stuff.
No, yeah, that's true. But unlike Horizon Zero Dawn, where there was like a super hard difficulty and a New Game Plus, I'm like 2 more playthroughs. Hell yeah, let's get down to it. You know, like I don't feel that pull from Spider-Man, no pun intended, to dive right back into a whole nother playthrough.
Yeah.
Part of that, to be honest, is the fan in the PS4.
It's a jet engine while you're playing that game.
I'm tired of hearing it. Like, it wasn't as bad in God of War, because that would only really happen when I was, like, talking to Sindri. Like, for some reason, it's like, look at your inventory. Like, that was... I don't know why that was the case, but... with Spider-Man, it's pretty constant, and that's the only game that does it that I'm playing right now, and I'm tired of it. I love the PS4. I'm tired. Like, fix the hardware, please. But yeah, I'm excited to dive into the DLC stuff and kind of chew through that stuff. I get the impression it's not super long. Spider-Man by itself wasn't super long, which was a breath of fresh open world air.
Yep. In a world of Red Dead and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Yeah,
I'm done with open world games for a little bit. I feel like between this and Odyssey, like you were saying, like I need to take a break, which is great because Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out soon, which probably isn't an open world game, but God, who knows?
It probably no. But come on, have you played the other Kingdom Hearts? It's like a level based open world game. You know that by now.
But like tiny little levels.
Resident Evil comes out as well soon, like 2 days away.
Yeah, I would probably pick that up if I didn't have a child watching me and be like, ooh, that's a zombie's insides. Okay.
You was.
Yeah, I am also a big chicken. Like
your child is a convenient excuse.
It really is for the rest of my life. I got a kid. No, also, I am a stay-at-home. For anyone that wants to use that as a weapon, I am a stay-at-home dad. Don't come at me. But that's all I've been playing this week, so let's take a break. Let's talk releases for the week of January 21st, 2019. Chaos Child comes out on PC. I talked about this early last year, maybe? Early 2018. This is one of the Steins Gate, the studio made another series. It's Chaos Head and Chaos Child.
Okay.
It was fine. I think Steins Gate is probably where I'd recommend people starting, though. Life is Strange 2 Episode 2 comes out. I'm not going to list out the platforms today. It just comes out on everything.
Yep.
Resident Evil 2, the remake, comes out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Have you seen what Tofu looks like?
No.
It is an HD Tofu in an HD environment. It's with like that little hat and the knife. It's really great. It's really great. God, Resident Evil 2 is so good.
Really, really want to pick this up. But I got 2 wisdom teeth coming out in 3 days, so I think I'll wait.
Yeah. Once you're all recovered from that.
Recovered and paid up.
Yeah. I really hope that this remake is good, because Resident Evil 2 was a really great game, and I feel like if they bring it to a modern platform and don't mess with it too much, it could probably be really good.
Mm-hmm. From what I understand, I can't remember who said this, but the analogy works out really well. Like Dead Space was based on the guys who made Dead Space have admitted that they wanted to make a game which was kind of like Resident Evil, but they didn't want to be constrained by not being able to move and shoot at the same time. So Dead Space was inspired by RE2, except more you can move and shoot. Whereas I've heard this thing described as a game that feels inspired by Dead Space. So it's a remake, but inspired by Dead Space, like controls and feel. So
it's like the Uncharted Tomb Raider Uncharted chart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just that sentence in itself makes me super interested in this game.
Yeah, Coach Jamal in chat says the demo was so good. I was interested in the demo till I saw it was just like play it for half an hour and then the demo's done. Like, that's fine, but I would rather just play the full release at that point. Wander Song comes out on PS4. I think it's on most other platforms at this point. If not on the Xbox, I think it's coming out there eventually too. This is a game I'm really excited to play. It's an indie platformer puzzle thing that's sort of focused on music. It got really great reviews when it came out on Switch, so I'm pretty excited about that. And last but not least, Slay the Spire comes out of early access on PC. This is
the roguelike?
Yeah, the card-based tree climbing roguelike. Apparently it's like Dead Cells we were mentioning earlier, pretty much done a year ago, and they've just kind of continued to add content to it and sort of refine it, and now it's done. Yep. So I hear really great things about it, and it is on the We Roguelike It list. So we'll get to it sometime between now and 2050.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to news stories. I missed a news story the other day. I don't know how this happened, but Ubisoft has announced that The Division 2 will no longer be launching on Steam and will be launching on the Epic Games Store as opposed to Steam.
Well, we all know how that happened.
Money. Yeah,
in the words of Ted DiBiase, everybody's got a price.
Yeah, and I think, to me, this is one of those, like a lot of, like Hades, came out only on Epic Game Store, and before it would have been like, it's out on Steam, and here's like front page splash, they made Bastion and Transistor and the other one, Pyre. But man, taking it down from 30%, 12%, especially for a big company like Ubisoft.
Yep.
That is, I feel like I feel like a large publisher like Ubisoft caring about a platform says a lot.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if on top of that percentage that Epic have said to them, here is a check with 8 zeros on it.
Right.
Make it exclusive for our platform.
Sure.
And if Ubisoft have got the chance to turn around and say, well, there's 25% of the development cost of this game already recouped in this check.
Right. Thanks, Fortnite.
Then,
right.
What have they got to lose? They're still going to get it on Xbox. They're still going to get it on PlayStation. It's just going to be limited to one store on the PC, which by all rights, has a higher connection ratio with users than Steam does, because guess what? Everyone plays Fortnite.
Yep. Well, and it's also safe to assume that this will be on the Uplay store or whatever it's called now. But it's just outside of that ecosystem. It's not on Steam, which I feel like is a fairly large thing.
Yep.
Because I think The Division 2 is a pretty hotly anticipated game for quite a few reasons.
Yes.
Speaking of Fortnite, Netflix put out an interesting report. It's a recent earnings report. They basically were talking about their competitors. They said they have a very broad set of competitors before adding that it also competes to and often loses to Fortnite more than it does HBO.
Yep.
That's really interesting. I didn't realize that Fortnite has 200 million registered users. And around Christmas hit 8.3 million concurrent players.
Yep.
So I don't think this is too surprising. Obviously, Fortnite is massive. And
yeah.
The interesting thing is a non-video game company coming out and saying, like, HBO and, all these other streaming services are really, really just, these are our big competitors. And Fortnite, not a movie and TV streaming service.
Well, I think the big thing is like Netflix has skewed young from its inception.
Right.
Especially since they started going all in on the streaming side of things. Like my parents-in-law have Netflix accounts because we have a family account that they are on.
Oh, right.
They don't use that, though. They will watch their cable subscriptions, sports channels, whatever movies on Showtime or whatever the channels
on
are called.
TBS, yeah.
They will watch that stuff because that's what they know. Whereas I think people our generation, we are cable cutters by nature.
Yep.
So
my wife and I are actually going to get rid of our cable here pretty soon. We just don't watch it.
We don't have cable because we don't see the expense being necessary.
Why pay $100 a month for TV you're not there to watch?
Exactly. So we don't, because we don't have cable. We have Netflix. We have HBO Go. We've got a couple of the different services and stuff. But we watch Netflix. That's our channel kind of thing.
We do too, yeah.
I think the thing with Netflix have known is they've got us. They've maybe got us all the way down to maybe 15 and 16-year-olds at this point. From us downwards to that age is probably going to be a Netflix kind of person.
Right.
Anyone below that is probably watching streamers playing Fortnite because that's what they like to do with their time. All they do is play Fortnite. It's this generation's Call of Duty player. This generation's Madden player.
Close from All brings up a good point. YouTube as well. YouTube has started pairing with some movie companies to have movies appearing for free with ads on YouTube, and that has been wildly successful.
Yep.
But I think the other thing, too, that's really interesting is I was reading, about a month or two ago, I was reading some guy was playing, his kid invited him to play with, his kid and his friends, Fortnite. And the thing that I don't think I realized is that Fortnite isn't necessarily, some people that are playing it aren't necessarily in it to win. Like, they're not there to play a match and win and, let's try and, get chicken dinner and all that. They're more in it that it's a hangout spot. And they're also playing games, but, they're talking about stuff and they're listening to music and they're doing all this other stuff. And I don't think that I had realized that for our generation, that would have been we're going to the mall after school and we're going to hang out there for 3 hours because we have nothing else to do.
Maybe your generation over there, oldie boy.
We're 2 years apart.
For me, it was Xbox Live Party was my thing. I think that's what this is. This is the evolution of the party system on the console.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's just it's just a hangout and shooting the poops spot. It's just... And they're playing Fortnite every once in a while, and if they win, cool. If they don't, cool. They're hanging out with their friends. And I thought I thought that was really interesting, and that's a side of Fortnite that, because I don't play it, that I thought that was really interesting.
Well, not everybody can win. You've got to have the scrubs down there getting shot in the face over and over again.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Like, you were 98th place, and I was like, cool, great.
Every time I play PUBG. Every time.
Yeah, I would play more of Fortnite if I could get the uninterrupted time, but not PUBG. That's just too serious.
Whenever I play PUBG, I die faster than the people who are idle and get dropped off at the airplane at the very last moment. I die quicker than those people. That's how bad I am at PUBG.
Perfect. That sounds right for this show. Yeah. And the last news story here, Forza Horizon 4 axes the Carlton and Floss dances because of the lawsuits that are pending in progress against Epic. Mostly wanted to bring this up because I really like the Carlton showing up in games, cough, cough, Destiny 1. And I was really happy that it was in Forza Horizon 4, and now it has been removed, so I guess I'll just uninstall it. No.
Do we need to get a little coffin together and just write the Carlton on it, and then...
Yeah, I'll put it back here in the collection for on the stream. But I realize we haven't really talked about these lawsuits, and I'm going to take the unpopular standpoint that I support the Carlton lawsuit, don't necessarily support the Floss lawsuit because it's very muddy about who created that dance, and it's not the Floss kid. But when you look at Donald Faison, like we were talking about Scrubs in the pre-show, he has that poison dance that I think is the default dance in...
that is in Fortnite, yes.
I think it's the default dance in Fortnite. And he created that on the show, and it's very clearly side by side. Oh, yeah, that's the same dance. Obviously, the Carlton was created by the guy that I can't remember the name of. But I sort of support these because Fortnite is a pretty big thing, and not, at the very least, crediting the creator of this stuff.
No, none of this credit and stuff, no.
Yeah. They don't even they don't even credit. Like, that's the worst part.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, dances, just like anything else, is intellectual property. And if you...
In the US, it is.
Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, globally, legally, it should be. So if you have proof that you are the person who is responsible for this thing existing, just because some other company takes it and then, skyrockets it to a level of awareness that you probably wouldn't have done by yourself.
Right.
It's... #for exposure is never an excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never a reason to have to do anything. If they wanted to put those dances in, they reach out to those people and they drop them a line and say, yo, I'm going to give you 2 cents
a flat fee.
Yeah, a flat fee,
right.
2 cents
licensing
for every copy.
Costs.
Dead simple.
And the thing that really bothered me was people are like, yeah, but why didn't he sue Bungie when it was in Destiny 1? It's like, here's a 3 million player game. Here's a 200 million player game, where the 200 million player game is making tens or hundreds of millions of dollars a month off of this game. It's a little different.
And it's not even just that. It's also about the level of exposure that thing gets.
Absolutely.
Me and you, when we saw the Carlton was in Forza Horizon 4, we pointed it out to each other and we made sure you were aware, so it's something you could aim for because we know you love that dance.
I think the Carlton is great. As someone who was watching Fresh Prince growing up,
at the time,
the Carlton is great.
The biggest difference there is me saying that to you is not a kid on the floor of Congress flossing.
Right.
That level of public knowledge and public absorption is a whole different ballgame. Maybe the dude doesn't like video games, and maybe he just happened to be cruising through his YouTube channel one day and he saw somebody doing the floss dance after a little highlight reel Fortnite clip or something.
Sure.
He's like, wait, that's the floss. And this next person's just done the Carlton. That's my dance.
Wait a minute.
What's this Fortnite thing? Why am I seeing this on my YouTube? Or one of his friends saw kids doing it because they play Fortnite. They send it to his attention. He figures out what Fortnite is, and then all of a sudden, there's a lawsuit going on. It could just literally be a case of he wasn't aware that was in these things because it doesn't have the reach that these things do.
Right.
Which is not an excuse for them to say, well, we let the whole world know about your dance. Like, that's great. Right. How much money do you make a minute?
We don't charge for the dance itself. It's like, come on.
Mm-hmm. It's like, how much money do you make again, please?
Billions.
So,
yeah.
As much as I hate the where's my slice of this pie discussion,
right? Like where is his happiness?
Yeah. Where is his slice of that pie?
And I can respect Donald Faison seeing the Poison dance in Fortnite and being like, I don't care. Like they're making money, whatever. I don't care. I respect that.
It's his prerogative to do it.
Yeah, and I respect the lawsuit over the Carlton. I respect both of those legally or equally because if he would have said like. The Carlton's in there, like, yeah, that's funny, I don't really care. That would have been fine, too, but it's going to be tricky. But I realized we hadn't talked about that yet, and I'm sad it's not there, and I'm going to have to do some other dumb dance on a mountaintop in Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah, this is where precedents get built, though. They start here, they make their way up to the Supreme Court, and then the corporations win, and then these people are out a whole bunch of money.
Yep. Ta-da.
Yep.
Let's talk about questions here. T-Bomb Rocks hits us up in Discord about another news story here this week. With the canceling of the single-player Star Wars game, we find out... so there was some single-player Star Wars game canceled by some EA studio this week. It's surprising news for some, but I think when Moon and I were talking about news stories in pre-show, we were like, yeah, okay, that happened.
The only reason these games get attention is because they have the word Star Wars in.
Yeah.
Like, if it didn't have the word Star Wars in, nobody would care.
Yeah. We found out that also EA won't let BioWare work on KOTOR 3. We're still getting the Respawn Star Wars game at least. Why do you think EA is having such issues using the license? I don't think this is an accident because Battlefront 2 Battlefront is still active.
Yep.
You want a game for when Episode 9 comes out. Boy, Battlefront 2 is it's down to only $20 and we put out a brand new piece of DLC.
And to be honest, these things make big money on microtransactions. Like you only ever hear about microtransactions if it's one of two things. If it's Fortnite or if it's that Cliffy B game that he released.
Or if it's like really exploitative loot boxes. Like then you hear about like Battlefront 2.
Yeah, but after that fact, like when the game is like in up and running kind of thing, you only hear about them if they make billions or if they close down. Yep. My guess is just like nobody seemed to ever understand what Ultimate Team was until all of a sudden it was in every single EA Sports game.
And the reason people were hacking accounts for Ultimate Team packs.
The reason you Americans didn't know what that was for the longest time is because it wasn't in your American sports games.
Right.
So that made EA billions for years before anybody in the States was paying attention to it.
For like a decade. It was forever. Yeah.
So my guess is Battlefront 2 is quietly in the background making millions, if
just
not
printing money
with that. And I hate to say it, but you talk Star Wars, you talk video game franchises, and I like EA. They can be one of the best developers out there when they want to be. I think that they have a prerogative that they need to make a certain amount of money on each one of these games to make that license worthwhile.
Oh, that's not a cheap license by any means. Like, no one knows how much it cost them, but there's no way it's a cheap license.
And I guarantee you that Disney are in the background saying, if each one of your games does not make these amount of additional zeros for Disney, not for EA, but for Disney, then you will lose this license. And
go ahead.
And I get this sneaking suspicion that EA were like, well, BioWare can't make KOTOR 3 because that's a single-player RPG that's going to take hundreds of hours to make.
Instead, we'll keep working on the MMO, Star Wars Galaxies?
The old Republic.
The Old Republic, okay.
Galaxies was the original Star Wars MMO.
Right, okay.
So they're going to keep working on that. They're going to have their skeleton crew just pumping out stuff for that, which notice nobody talks about that anymore, which means it's quietly in the background being
a fine game.
Making millions of dollars probably for that company. So Disney have got no issues with these games because they're still racking in the money for Disney on the back end. You release a 15-hour single-player game, it's got one payday, it's got one big check.
Yep.
They're not just like every single company out there, including Microsoft, who I love and are doing a lot of very good customer-focused things. Disney, EA, all of these companies, they're not in it to give you a good game.
Yeah.
They're in it to take the money out of your wallet. That's what they're there for.
Give it to shareholders. Well, and the Jason Schreier is, of course, the one who was reporting on the story.
I've never heard of this guy. Who is it?
I know. And one of the rumors that got fed to him is apparently that, this is unsurprising, but that Disney has been, as time goes on, they have been tightening the reins on what is and isn't allowed in Star Wars stuff. Mm-hmm. So part of what happens in a lot of these games are, a studio will come out and say like, oh, we're going to make a brand new, like, different Star Wars game. And there's some focus testing that's going on. Be like, oh, there's no, like, Chewbacca and lightsabers and Jedi. Like, I don't really know. And you look at Battlefront and you can play as all this stuff. And there's DLC of bad guys and good guys. Like, it's so much more easily marketed that it makes sense that this is just the game that they'll make. And it's a bummer. Like, of course, everyone would like to see, like, 15, 20-hour, cool, single-player Star Wars game. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so.
Unless they stop making movies for another decade or so. It's probably not going to happen.
I think the problem is right now they have to protect their canon, especially with all the man babies out there complaining about a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, especially when they wiped the whole extended universe or whatever they called it. Exactly. When they wiped that clean, it's like, okay, we're going to control this time, so we don't have that really crazy stuff happen again.
Yeah, so the Old Republic, you've got pretty much leeway to do whatever you want because that's set hundreds of thousands of years before the current canon. So that's fine. You can still probably fiddle around with there and do what you want. But if you want a quote-unquote modern day or a quote-unquote current setting in the Star Wars universe game, you're asking for trouble because then you're trying to build a wall around this established canon that they only recently re-established and put your own thing directly inside of that you're trying to tell a good story and maintain control of and put the things you want, but also at the same time do the fan service that you have to do because it's a Star Wars game.
Where's the Chewbacca's?
Exactly.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say this, if they made, like, let's look at Shadows of the Empire. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, one of the greatest Star Wars games of all time.
It's really good.
N64 game, Dash Rendar, HK314, one of the best robots in Star Wars history.
Yeah.
That game could not exist today because it doesn't have Jedis in it. It doesn't have a whole bunch of other stuff in it, which people these days don't care.
Finn doesn't show up at some point to help you out in a mission.
Yeah, exactly. You can't make games like that anymore. As much as we were all hyped about 1313, the man babies would have had their way with it, and it would have been Mass Effect 3 all over again, which I will never forgive BioWare for being the first company that cracked to this public pressure BS where they change an ending because the public complains enough.
Mass Effect 3 was a good game.
It was. It didn't need changing.
It was fine, yeah. With all that contentious and controversial stuff out of the way, that's the end of our episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. You can visit us at tvgp.tv. All the places to find and follow us on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. All the behind-the-scenes stuff, like Moonpier mentioned, there's a brand new episode of Old Dog New Flicks coming out later this month. There's We Roguelike It. You get early access to that stuff. The Outcast, there's a pretty good Outcast coming out this week. We had some good real talk before we went live this week. Game Club. We just wrapped up Iconoclasts. There's an episode out now for that.
Yep.
And the next game will be last day of June. So we'll be talking about that pretty soon. 4 weeks.
Yep.
And I think that's it. So we'll see you all next week.
Bye. Be good to each other.
Yes.
Yes.
Most importantly,
message of the week.
don't be jerks. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hit me with those titles.
Oh boy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
We had some thoughts. There's zombie food.
Mm-hmm.
Inventory full of tissues.
Yeah.
Grossing the erasables and jenning the props.
Yeah.
I think grossing the erasables by itself suits that, I think.
Yeah.
Claw machine is my jam, or claw machine god. Let me take off my shirt. I bet I'm real close. Possible veto there.
Yeah.
Stream of consciousness notes.
Mm-hmm.
Beneficial bugs. Whip guys and big guys. And your child is a convenient excuse.
Oh, that one's too long, unfortunately.
I know. Gasping surprise emojis in chat from Coach Jamal as well. Which, thank you, Coast. Keep it up.
Yes.
It helps.
Thank you, Coast. Unofficial third chair for titles.
Uh-huh.
I have Zombie Food, The Walking Dead Gaiden, which I really like.
Uh-huh.
Inventory full of tissues. I'm a thinker.
Oh, wow. I forgot all about that one.
Claw Machine God and Beneficial Bugs. I really like The Walking Dead Gaiden.
Uh-huh. I just love grossing the erasables, but that's just because it's hilarious phrasing and so weird.
Yeah. I also like Beneficial Bugs, mostly just because of alliteration.
Well, that's because alliteration is the bee's knees. I almost swore then. I'm so happy I maintained myself.
My vote is for Walking Dead Gaiden.
Yeah, it works.
I think that's fun. It's a different title for us, too.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 587 for January 21st, 2019. The Walking Dead Gaiden.
It's the same game, just not as you know it.
Same game with ninjas in it.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for watching us live. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See you, everyone.
And we can stop recording.